Good evening, everyone. Treasure Troller here. We're going to recap the latest edition of Alone. I know it's a little late. We're almost a day away from the new episode. But seeing how I don't get to watch them on the first, or during Thursday nights, it's kind of not that big a deal for me. So we can get started. I'm not really sure what the theme from this week would be. Things gone, I don't know, fairly normal, uneventful. I mean, it turns out Roland did get the musk ox, so he's set for a while until something raids his brick shit house of a storage area. It looks pretty precarious to me. If they're willing to climb a tree for fish, I think they're willing to gnaw through a couple of limbs to get to a nice side of beef. The other thing too was I'm not sure. I know these guys love this meathead and jowls and stuff like that. I never been much of a lover of tongue and all that, but why he just wouldn't leave that out anyways to keep the bears and the critters off the main stash is beyond me. I would think you'd use that as a little bit of a diversionary tactic and not worry whether or not the bear got to the head of the musk ox. Excuse me. Amos, he just seems pretty low-key, and he just appears to be spending way too much time fishing. Like I said, a lot of this is based on a lot of my analysis, if you want to call it that, or opinion, is based on past seasons. And every past season, eventually the weather changes and the fish patterns change, and when you were catching a lot at one time, now you're catching nothing. And I mean, this gill net of his must be about 5 by 5, so he's only catching blind fish. He's not catching a lot. I'm not sure why he'd put a lot of emphasis on something like that. He hasn't shown any inland hunting yet. I don't know if he's like some of the other ones that are I'm going to eat what's there and then I'll worry about eating something else when it's not. Mark, the one thing about Mark I noticed or was kind of concerned about is he's in his shelter at night, and I think, what was he doing, kind of rapping or something, and you can see those little sparks flying up out of his fireplace. And if you look over his left shoulder, you can see he's got a bunch of branches or twigs that he's used. I'm not exactly sure why they continue to do this. Every one of these shelters that have caught on fire, they've had these branches that they've cut off. They've put them inside their shelter, and eventually those branches dry out and they're living basically in a tinderbox. So I fully expect before they, I think I talked about last week with Callie's fireplace being a little bit outside the shelter. Unfortunately, this week's episode kind of previewed someone's shelter catching on fire, because I was, going to say in this edition of the recap was, I expect someone's shelter to catch on fire. No, they only showed 6 of the 7. I don't know. I cannot figure out who they didn't show. I don't know why, but without going back and looking at the previous episodes, which contestant was left out, I don't know. But so the fire catch could have been with the contestant that they didn't show, or I guess if I'm a bet man, and I am on occasion, I would say it's probably Mark's that's going to go up. Kaylin, I don't know if she did the boat thing just for content for the show. Whoa, what do we got here? That's crazy, moron. I'm not sure why she would build that risky ass boat and go out there on that cold lake. Personally, I think the risk was too great, and she was at the beginning snaring rabbits, so I'm not sure. I don't think she's in a desperate situation to have to do that. I could understand if she was getting nothing and wanting to risk it, because if she wasn't going to get anything, she was going to, have to tap out. So I'm not sure what she was doing and why. Too big of a risk for me. And then we have Joe. Joe is another one that just baffles me. This is day 32 or so, a month into this thing. Still doesn't have a permanent shelter. It shows him out there chopping away a little bit, saying, yeah, well, I got to get this thing done. And then it starts to snow. And there's daylight. And what does he do? He runs into the shelter. Now, how much time he wasted, or I don't know, but I thought that was a bit of a waste to burn daylight like that. Maybe the wetness thing is a much bigger factor than I'm giving it credit for. But then he says his shelter is kind of complete. It's time to move into it. And it's just a little A-frame with a couple of logs along the side of it. It's like, damn, that's it, huh? With the tarp wrapped around the top? That's as permanent as it gets, huh? I think for what he did, as far as shelter goes, that could have been done a long, long time ago. And he could have added on to it. I'm just not really too certain of his shelter and how it's going to sustain the winter. I have my doubts about him. Kelly, like I said, there was of the 7, they only showed 6. Callie was the last one, and they really didn't show much of her other than she took the snow as a sign of being able to get out and get more food. So that was about it. Not a lot on this episode. I still, obviously, Roland now, I had him from the very beginning as the front runner. Still have him up there. Callie, I had as number 2. I still think she's got a good shot. Kylan, I thought that I had her up there too. And I guess I questioned that a little bit because of the risk that she took going out there. That wasn't a smart move. The other ones, I just think there's too many flaws. Amos doesn't appear to have anything else going but fish. Mark, well, I think he's going to barbecue his shelter here this week. And Joe, I'm not sure that he's got the shelter that's going to sustain anything. And even though he's got the shelter built, he's got no fireplace built. I think he's lacking some of the necessities like heat to keep him going. So the only factor in there is that number 7 that I didn't see, that I can't figure out without going back and watching. So that's about it. Prediction for this week, I think someone taps out. Well, I shouldn't say that, the fire, so that probably taps them out. No prediction just this week other than Roland having to defend the stash. But that's it, and we'll catch up with you in a few days, and see you then. Treasure Troller saying aloha and good day.